We're the biggest, the baddest jiu-jitsu and MMA podcast coming up right now. I've been getting all the feedback and much love to everybody out there. So I got to keep the tradition alive. And you know how I'm going to do that? I'm going to keep bringing you guys the best of the best. And today I'm very, very honored because this is a man when I was coming up doing jiu-jitsu, when I was starting out, he was already very, very established. And one of the Americans, I don't know if a lot of people know this about me, but I actually grew up in a black neighborhood, and my kids are all part black. So I kind of looked up to this gentleman without him really knowing. And to see him rise and become one of the best jiu-jitsu American coaches and MMA coaches as well on the planet, I got to give him his flowers, and it's an absolute honor to have Master Lloyd Irvin in the house today.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. So tell me, bro, first of all, what brings you into town? Why are you in here in Long Beach? What's going on? The World Championships going on right now?
Yeah, every year make the trip to wherever the World Championships are, and right now they're in Long Beach.
So every year making that trip, is it just only the World Championships you're going to, or are you actually going to everything smoking? That's as far as like IBJJF stuff.
So for me personally, the last 4 years or so, I don't travel to like all the small local tournaments, but Pans, Worlds, Europeans most times, and usually Brazilian Nationals, I'm there.
The big ones, the ones that count.
Yeah.
And like as far as the team right now, like just speak on like, you know, how many champions you got right now, like just currently in the gym that you're training. Because I know you stay with some killers in that gym.
Yeah, we have a lot of champions in different organizations, different promotions and so forth. Like I said, today we had two IBJF world champions, and purple belt and blue belt.
In the adult division?
In the adult division, yes.
Killing it.
And yeah, we got a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Like they compete on everything.
And just so you guys know, the blue and the purple belt divisions are some of the hardest divisions. Because they got the most competitors, am I right? Because the divisions are deep.
Yeah, somebody got to get through like 7 matches, like 100 people in there.
There's a strategy to that. Am I right, Master Lloyd?
100%. And you have to understand how to break down the divisions, who's on your side, and create game plans as you're going through live.
Can I ask you a question about that? Are you, as a coach, like, are you paying attention to who your guys that are coming up, the names that are in their bracket that are also very good? Are you breaking down their styles? And because I assume, as good as you are at what you do, there's a formula. I know there's a formula because I remember watching you teaching some of the formulas on the YouTube, which I actually seen those micro transitional, beautiful stuff, right? Because that's what, in my opinion, is all about for people to learn and get and grow their game. But like, as far as, creating champions right now, like, what do you think is your method that, works so well?
Like I said, when you ask the question about do we break it down for each person, you got to.
Right.
There's people out here that talk about not watching film, and it sounds to me is so crazy. There is no professional sport on earth, NFL, NBA, NHL, that does not have full-time film studiers and watching to break down every week after Sunday football, NFL game, on Monday you're off and you get the next, whoever we're playing next week, right?
Right.
And so the thought is crazy. You can't win at the highest levels not understanding who you're going against. Are they left-handed? Are they right-handed? Do they pull left foot forward? Do they pull right foot forward? If they get De La Hiva, are they, what side do they switch to? You have to know these things so you can avoid them. Because everyone's job is to get a person inside their game, and once you get inside their game, their job is, hopefully that they can beat you if they can keep you inside their game. And our job is to keep them inside our game, and if we get inside their game, to get out of their game. But you don't know how to get out of their game if you don't know what they're doing.
Well, I believe the reason why, like, one of the reasons you're so successful is because you're also paying attention. I don't think a lot of coaches are watching everybody else, who they're competing against, and that's why I think you see the best of the best. That the coaches are actually taking the time to see who's in those brackets, who my guys are going up against. For example, these two gentlemen you got with you here, Legend and Legacy. Shout out to these young gentlemen, future they're probably already champions, and I can't wait to see what you keep doing with them. But it's just like just the molding of it, it's just the process of how you're doing it and getting them to that point is what's working.
100%.
Master Lloyd, for those, I know your story's been told by a lot of people, but I just out of curiosity, where did you grow up at?
So I was born in Germany. From Germany, I went to Florida. I was in Florida until I was 6 years old, and then I came to Maryland and D.C. area, and I've been there ever since.
Maryland, D.C., just for those around the world that don't know, what's the area like out there? Like, describe the neighborhood that you grew up in out there. Like, is it predominantly minority? What's the culture like in the area?
So just for those that don't know, our area is called the DMV, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. So I first came back from Florida, lived in D.C. for like 6 months, and then moved to Maryland, and Suitland, Maryland. So it's a middle class, 98% black in the beginning.
Okay. Was a lot of gangs out there and stuff, or
so it's a little different than like the LA gangs that came up,
Cali.
But they had crews. We didn't really call it gangs.
Yeah.
They had crews. If you were from your neighborhood and there's problems and beefs, that was like ours was Suitland soldiers. So I was from Suitland, Maryland, but like I said, I came in middle class. My dad was a military person, officer in the Air Force, so I didn't come up like any.
They kept you out that stuff.
100%.
And that's good. Were you travel? Like, I know a lot of the military families they travel a lot from base to base. Am I right?
Yeah, from base to base. So we were at Patrick Air Force Base in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and then when we came to Maryland, my dad had
he was done.
He was done.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see. So that's why you got settled in there. Now, growing up, as were you into martial arts? What were you into? Going through your high school and college years.
So I started martial arts when I was 3 years old.
Oh, damn.
I got put into it because I was a hyperactive kid and they wanted to put me on drugs. And
Ritalin?
Yeah. My Aunt Mamie, she was like, I heard martial arts can help. So she told my dad, my mom put me in martial arts at 3 years old, and I loved it. And it helped, calm me down a little bit.
You enjoyed it?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. And I did martial arts, all different types of martial arts all the way until I got to college.
Can I ask you what you started in?
Karate. Basic karate.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did.
Taekwondo.
Lately, what I'm hearing from a lot of the OGs is judo, and karate has always been one of the traditional ones.
I didn't start judo till I was like a blue belt or purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Yeah, with Roddy Ferguson. He's a 2004 Olympian, 100 kilo division for America. And but like I said, martial arts all through. Then I went to college, played sports and played football. And then when I got out, I was 26, and one of my frat brothers gave me the UFC 1 tape. He said, "Man, you're gonna love this." And I saw it, and after that,
you were hooked.
I was hooked.
And so, like, after you see the tape, tell me, like, which fighter? Of course, it was Hoist. Shout out to Hoist Gracie and the Gracie family. I was just talking to Half Gracie recently, and he should be coming to do the podcast soon. I think Hoist changed everybody's view on martial arts. Like, when you see that dude, the way he looked and everything, and just being able to take everybody out. So immediately you like, I want to learn jiu-jitsu.
100%. I wanted to learn jiu-jitsu. I moved to there was no jiu-jitsu in our area,
and it wasn't like a need for, like, you weren't in the hood like fighting. You just loved martial arts that much that you wanted to see what this is like. Damn, that's just excuse my French, but that's dope, and I want to see what that's like.
Yeah, I wanted to be in the UFC and fight and be like Hoist Gracie. That
right away, you wanted to fight.
Yeah, and then when I went to California because that's where they were, but the prices were too high at the Gracie Academy, and then I found the original
Torrance.
Yeah, in Torrance, and so I found a Kaji Kimbo school that had jiu-jitsu there, but the instructor was no good. But I didn't know he was no good because I was no good. So what they were teaching seemed good, but then I had some family situations. I had to come back to Maryland, and then I found Yamazaki Dala Academy.
Mario Yamazaki. For those that you guys that don't know, is one of the UFC old school referees.
Yep.
Shout out to him.
Yep. So Mario Yamazaki had a school with Leo Dalla, and then they had a little falling out. And then when Dalla left, I left, and then I stayed. I've been with Dalla ever since. I got my blue belt in 30 days. I got my black belt in 3.5 years. I'm all belts through dollar. So
now one thing I want to touch on right there, getting your black belt in 3.5 years. Now, like, I think some people would talk about that, and you know, I got my black belt kind of quick too, but I was training 3 times a day. I was in the morning class two morning classes. Then I would come and I would help with the private classes, all these other dudes that weren't coming to class. Then I'd come back in the afternoon, help the kids class, train in 2 evening classes, and I did that 6 days a week. Now, do you think someone that trained, I believe that someone, and I'm assuming you probably trained like all the time.
All the time.
So for those of you that don't understand, those type of individuals that train like that, that's why you see like blue belts and purple belts destroying black belts. Am I right?
Yeah, like now it's kind of tricky though, because sometimes what you see when you see these blue belts destroying higher level belts, some of these kids they've been training since 4 or 5 years old, so now they're 17 years old and they got 12 years in, and they're in the adult division, you know. So it's like different. The levels are just insane now.
Their flexibility, you know, they're already taking it serious, strength and condition, all the extra stuff,
everything. Then the non-black belts, they're doing steroids, all kind of stuff. It's crazy. So
as you start getting your black belt, had you already competed in MMA?
Yeah, I competed.
I remember I had seen a couple matches. Yeah,
and then I quickly realized, I said, I didn't have a coach. My instructor was in Brazil, so I would go see him. I would bring him down. So like I said, understanding sports at a certain level, I realized I need better training, and I didn't have it. So at that point, I decided that I didn't get to pursue my dream. So if I ever got to a situation financial, or I could help other people reach their dreams, then I'm gonna put everything into it. That's how I started helping everybody.
That's one of the coolest things about being a coach, I believe, and that's what I the most rewarding thing for me that's been is, you know, coming from where I came from, and you know, making it out of the, you know, bad areas and all the bad things I was into, going in and out of jail, you know, finding jiu-jitsu, and then, you know, just seeing how much it helped me and how much it changed me and turned me into a real man, to where I realized I didn't need to be looking for enemies and trying to hurt people or do wrong things, and how much more rewarding it was to smile and help people and be there for people. And when I first got into coaching myself, I realized that is the most rewarding thing that there possibly is.
It is.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be a blessing. Mm-hmm. You know, and one of the things I respect so much about you is what you do for your athletes, and how much you want to see them be successful, and how hard you make them work to achieve their goals. And I think that's, you know, a lot of kids and a lot of people need someone like that, because I know I did. And like, I'm sure you've felt how many people's lives you've changed since you started coaching yourself.
Yeah, it's a special position you get. And one thing that, you know, the kids or adults that dive in and give their all, like, my thing is even bigger than just the martial arts, because if you have a kid that gives you 10, 15, 20 years of their life, and all you learn is martial arts, for me, that's not good.
That's not enough.
I want, you know, financial literacy, learn about business, you know, because you're in school. Like, jiu-jitsu is these full-time competitors' lives.
Yes. And
my thing is always trying to push them to learn other things, how to do business. So you don't have to just open the school. You have other options. Understand about real estate, understand about finances, understand about credit score, understand about business funding, understand about all these business things.
Why can't I have him out here, man? Damn, y'all are lucky. That's what I'm talking about, though. Is like, that's next level of being there for you know, for your students and stuff.
100%.
You know, and it takes a real general to be able to negate that and you know, to run that and help people do that. So in the early stages of your career, one person that you know, like, I remember became real popular with was Brandon Vera.
Yes. And
are you guys still close to this day?
100%.
And that's as the way it should be.
Yeah.
Man, shout out to Brandon Vera. I was always one of my favorite fights. I was actually at his fight against Shogun in LA.
Oh, you were?
Man, bro.
Yeah.
That fight was one of the. For those of you who have not seen Brandon the Truth Vera versus Shogun Rua fight in MMA, go take a look back at that fight, Because that was one of the craziest fights I had ever seen. Were you there for that one?
Yeah, I was in the corner. Yeah,
yeah, that was a crazy one. Brandon's one of the great fighters. So what I wanted to touch on, like my question is, one of the things that you were very popular about was, this home invasion situation.
Yes.
Now, like when this is happening, like this is a life. Like a lot of people don't understand. Like I've been in that world. I'm not gonna speak too much on that, but when people come in your home, that's already a life and death situation.
100%.
Period. Whether they got a gun all pointed at you or not, somebody's entered your house, that's a life and death situation. So now these guys, like, are you aware when they're coming in? Like,
nope.
You're just hanging out.
So it's a funny story. I had a pink eye.
Oh,
so I was staying downstairs on the regular first floor, and so I wouldn't give anybody the pink eye. And I was on the couch, and I woke up and had both two gunmen over top of me, and they're like,
mask on.
Mask on, yep. I was there. They wake up. He said, "You're being robbed." So I looked at him. I just closed my eyes and rolled over. And I had sleep, right? And then
he like, nah, it's
not real.
Yeah,
I'm a dream.
Yeah.
And I look back, and they're like, "You're being robbed." And
you didn't know? Did you notice the voices or like the way they looked or anything like familiar?
No,
you ain't got to speak on it, nobody, because I would just if I knew you, I ain't gonna tell nobody who you are. But I'm just saying, like you just had no idea.
No idea.
These dudes just in the house.
In the house, over top of me, got me down, lay down, and then it's funny because like at that moment, you ever seen a movie? One of those movies when like everything freezes and the slow motion going around. It was like that.
I've been shot at from car to car and ducked under cars. So it's like everything turns into 0.1 second point.
That's how it was. And I started seeing myself getting shot, and I was thinking, and it was my son's birthday that day. He was turning 4. It was October 5th, 2008. On his 4th birthday, and we're having big parties. I started seeing myself getting shot. It was a crazy, and then my body like locked up. I couldn't move. It felt like hours, but it was probably like seconds, right?
Yeah. Well, what would you do?
Exactly.
Same thing, right? Yeah.
And so then from there, you want to hear the whole story or just
the brief? They take you upstairs.
They took upstairs.
They tell you to get up.
Brandon,
get up,
go
move.
slow. One went to the backside. One went to the front, like military type drills. I had Brandon Barrows. We were in the camp. We were going to be fighting. I think it was Keith Jardine in the UK. So Brandon was upstairs asleep. I had another friend, Thad, upstairs asleep. My wife and Summer in the room. And so we went up.
Your daughter?
No, son.
Son.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me.
So then we went upstairs, went to both rooms, cleared both rooms. I went to Brandon's room. I said, "Brandon, we're being robbed." And
so what happens then? They tell you to go upstairs? What?
Yeah, so they tell us to get up. They ask, "Is there anybody else in the house?" And I say, "Yes, I have my wife and 2 friends and my son." And they're like, and then they look at each other. They look back and say, "All right, where they at? Where are the rooms?" So they try and get diagnostic of what's happening. So they stood up. One went to the backside. One went to the front. So they like 4 feet away from me on each side. It looked kind of tactical as I was walking up. And we walked to the steps, and the guy walked up, and the other guy walked behind me, kept the guns on me. And at this point, I'm literally sitting. But you know about the fight or flight thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for that moment, I was like, damn. In my mind, I was like, do I just run and bust out and jump out the window and try to call? And then I think about leaving your family. You don't know what to do. Yeah. It's initial fear thing, right?
Fear, yeah.
And
100%, bro.
And like when I was on the couch for that second, when my body locked up, I was frozen, and the dreams were going around, like seeing myself getting shot and dying, and my students, and my son's birthday, and the party, and then when one of the Justin Jones had a fight that night. It was like all this stuff that's going through my mind.
It starts racing
fast.
I can relate because I don't know if I spoke on it too much, but I've been in situations where guns have been pulled, I've been shot at, and it's like for those of you that haven't been in that situation, it's like all of a sudden your heart rate goes to like 1,000,000. And, the blood, you're on that like. The highest level of fear when guns are pulled. It's like
It's crazy.
It's a crazy feeling to explain to somebody that's never had it happen to them.
And I'm tell you, the funny thing is, as a martial arts instructor, I've been doing gun disarm, knife disarms, the self defense, teach Secret Service, CIA, police, everything for 20 plus years.
So you had been doing so that's exactly what I wanted to touch on too, was like, as this is happening, you had already been training in this, for these type of situations
all my life.
Wow.
And I dream about and I think about all different types of scenarios where my wife thinks I'm super paranoid. Everyone thinks I'm super paranoid, and they think that you play too much. It's not that serious. It is that serious. There's killers out here.
There's
real bona fide killers.
And I know a lot of them. And I've been around a lot of them. And you are 100% right. And you know, my kids always ask me, why do you why are you so private and why do you keep to yourself? Because I've seen it. I've sometimes it's the people closest to you too. Like it's just like, it's a crazy life out there, and I don't think some people realize how close to death that they actually come. You know,
every single day
there's some real killers out there getting. I know of people that are getting out nowadays from doing 12, 15, 25 years, and if you even look at them the wrong way, I don't care how tough of a martial artist or who you are, they'll end your life in a heartbearp.
They don't care about nothing about
none of that fighting stuff. You are not, just because you could be respected in the martial arts community and all that. Them killers don't care about none of that.
Nothing. And the funny thing is, I always think about now that it's happened to us. Like, I'll get to the story, but right then and there, for the 20 plus years of me teaching about the adrenal factor and the psychology of everything, it was 100 times worse than I ever imagined and taught to my students what that feeling is like.
Because it was real.
Yeah, and as part of the home invasion, you know, like sometimes the strategy of the home invasion is to strike fear and get dominance over. So sometimes they may come in and break you, pistol whip you. They may shoot you, may shoot your dog, or injure somebody or harm somebody just to get control of the situation, right?
Let you know it's real.
Yeah, and so like my mom, I was like, you know, let's be prepared to go to war. When I was in high school, I was an 11th grader. There was a guy named Fred Cherry. He was a military. I'm not sure what his. I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm not sure what his title was, colonel, general, or whatever it was, but Fred Cherry, he was a prisoner of war, and people can Google him. But his speech at the school, when he was talking about being prisoner of war and what was happening to the prisoners on a daily basis for an extended period of time, I never forgot that, and it had a real strong impact. And when I was in there, in that scenario, I was thinking back to Fred Cherry, because now it's your time to prove, because you are responsible for your family. And I was thinking about getting my teeth knocked out and like all this stuff. It was you know how it is. It's nerve-wracking, right?
100%.
So we're walking up the steps, and when we get to the first steps, he said, "Who's in that room?" I said, "Thad." And so we went to the room, and Thad had his door locked. So I pushed the door. I said, "It's locked." And then one guy said, "Kick it in." And the other guy said, No, go to the next room. So we went to the next room, and the next room was Brandon Vera. So I opened the door. They both went to the side, had guns on me. So I opened the door. I walked in, and Brandon was asleep. I said, "Brandon," I said, "Wake up." He said, "What's up, Master Lloyd?" I said, "There's two gunmen behind me. We're being robbed." He was like, "Master Lloyd," because I'm always joking and playing around. You know what I'm saying? He was like, "Master Lloyd,
you gotta be playing.
You gotta be playing, right?" Yeah. I said, "Brandon, I swear to God, my mom's life being robbed."
Yeah, get up.
He was like, "Shit." He got up, and then he stood up, and so when he stood up and he walked out, and the guy's like, "Oh shit, get back, put your hand on the wall," because he's so big. You know what I'm saying? It like that.
Killer.
And so then they had him on the side, and they told me to go to my master bedroom. So my son was in our room. We messed up, let him sleep in the bed in the beginning back in the day, and so then we were trying to get him out. So we had him on a mattress, and every like 2 or 3 days we moved that mattress further away from our bed, further away. So now the mattress was actually by the entrance. So I opened the door, trying to open the door, and I acted like it was locked, just like Thad's room was locked.
Smart.
I acted like it was locked. I said, "It's locked." He said, "Turn the key." So I said, "I can use a quarter to open it." and I grabbed my quarter, and I went to open it, and then once I opened it up, and they said, drop it. I put the quarter on the ground. So I opened the door, and they had lights, a flashlight or whatever, and I said, Vicky, we're being robbed. And she was like, stop playing, close the door.
The whole house thought
the whole house, because we're always playing games, we're always doing reality shows and stuff like that. And she was like, and the guy, this is one thing, one guy said, ma'am, he called her ma'am. You know what I'm saying? So when he said ma'am from the self-defense aspect, it's immediately there's some good upbringing in there, a grandma, a mom, something's in him, right? Absolutely. So I'm noting everything because this is all stuff we're training for. And so then he said, do you have clothes on, ma'am? That's what he said. Do you have clothes on, ma'am?
Or he's been
in prison, right? And so then she got up and he had a gun on me, and he had Brandon go in there, and then he said, told Brandon to get on the ground, told her to get on the ground, and then he told me to get on the ground. I said, my son's right here on the, he said, get on the ground, get on the fucking ground. So at this point, this is when the training, I'm very happy about it. The training all my life. I've always said that if I ever am in an armed situation or a situation getting robbed and a person puts me on the ground to get down, and now my life is in their hands, whether they're going to kill me or not. If I'm in a range or able to do something, I'm never going to get on the ground and put it in their hands. I'm going to die shooting my shot, spending my damn life doing this, right? And so I just went and grabbed my son. I picked Lloyd up, and I said, he said, Dad, what's wrong? No. And I said, we're getting robbed. It's okay. And then he started shaking, man. I'll never forget the way he was trembling. It was crazy, man.
This is your son you're talking about?
Yeah. And I told the guys, I said, listen, my son has a disorder that if he goes to thing, he'll convulse and die. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I just made it up. I don't know where it came from. I just literally made it up. I never practiced that or thought about that, but I needed to buy time. And then the one who said, ma'am, he said, oh shit. Like, I was like, he was like, there's another compassion somewhere.
That was smart of you.
Exactly.
Because you made him think. And that's what some people should always take account of. People have brains. So rather than getting crazy or scared and panic, if you can talk smart and be calm, that might actually help you in
100%
in these type of situations. I'll give you whatever you want. Calm down. We're not gonna, we're gonna. Okay, so go ahead.
So at this point, he said, he was like, put it back on here to get on the ground, and I was like, that's when I told the story about like he could die if he gets panicked like that. And he was panicking. He was shaking, and then one guy went and grabbed the quarter and went back to the other door. I guess he was going to open the door to get Thad out of the room. And so at this point, it was just me, Brandon's on the ground, my wife's on the ground, Lloyd's in my hand, and and the one guy was in there with the gun. So I put Lloyd on the air mattress, and then he was telling me to get over. I said, can I just make sure he's okay? And then I was trying to do this movement. So in Sambo, we have these distance closing steps where it don't feel like the distance is being closed.
Inching closer where he doesn't understand what you're exactly.
So what I was doing with the mattress, I was moving the mattress, but my wife, listen, my wife reached out and said, no, he said, push it that way. She pushed the joint when I'm trying to do my business. You know what I'm saying? So she's pushing it. So she did this 3 times.
Oh, man.
And then I saw the door open and Thad and the other guy coming out, and the guy had the gun to Thad's head, and Thad smiling. And so Thad smiling like that. And then Vicky says, oh shit, Lloyd, he doesn't know this is real because we're always doing these games and playing stuff. Yeah, playing around. So he's literally smiling like that, okay, like smiling and stuff. And so as they're walking back, I'm realizing that the time is ticked down because we're 1-on-1 now. When it's 2-on-1 is bad. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you go after one, they shoot. If they're shooting, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I'm like, all right. So I did the movement, and the guy was like, get him over there. Get him over there. He was waving to tell me where to move Lloyd. So if a gun's on you, we consider that red light. If he waves it off, it's green light.
Right.
Red light, green light. Red light, green light. And it was dark in the room, and it was funny. Like sometimes things happen that you're like, man, you never know how it happened, but it was red light, green light. Get him over there, and the whole room lit up. No lights. I'm not sure how it did, but the gun was so sharp and razor sharp in my eyesight. And on the last one, red light, when he said, get over the green light, I just went, boom. I took the gun out, dislodged the cartridge, and then it fell down. Now, this is the funny thing. I took the gun, I disarmed the cartridge, because we have a technique with Ensemble where you disarm the cartridge so that if they still shoot, they only have one shot. And so then at this point, the cartridge is on the ground, and the guy that I'm taking the gun from is gone. It's like a movie, like Snap the Finger. He was gone. I don't remember him. I don't remember.
That wasn't your focus. Your focus was to get
the gun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so he was gone, and then he ran out, and then Thad came in, and then I found the cartridge. I put the gun in, and then I made sure everybody was okay. And I went back out. I was checking out, and then I went out. They said they went down. They went down. So I went to my son's room. Lifted up, and I started shooting out the back window. So then after that, I came back in at the room. Brandon said we called the cops, and the cops were coming, and they were on the phone. They told us to stay where we're at, and they walked us through to them arriving, and they're coming in. And I put your gun down, move back. And so I laid on the ground, you know what I'm saying? And they came in. When the cops came in, they were like, I stood up and I was like, yeah, they're gone, this and that. And they said, everybody's here, everybody's fine. I said, yes. Then they were like, Master Lloyd. One of the cops said, Master Lloyd. I was like, oh man, it's like one of the guys, right? They're like, he told everybody, put the guns down, right? They started chilling, right? So a backstory that I didn't find out until later on was that, so Thad was in the hallway. So Thad said that when the guy ran out, he ran out like, he has the gun. He has the gun. And I have a big stairwell, and he ran out and jumped over the stairwell, as Thad said, and landed.
Damn.
He said the guy that had him on the gun on him slowly walked backwards down, kept the gun on him, and then just disappeared.
Yeah.
And so at the time, we didn't know how they got in. We didn't know anything. And so they ended up getting through the basement, a little small window that to this day, I don't know how anyone got through it, right? Wow. And they got through a window. In my mind, I always thought that they put a kid through there, and then the kid opened up the thing. But I still don't know. But I know that that's the window they came through. And it was just crazy. So my wife was in the bathroom. Brandon put my wife in the tub holding Lloyd, and she called 911 in there. And then like I said, later on, the Deadspin did an article saying that my story was a fake and a marketing promotion for the martial arts school, and haters, you know what I'm saying?
Man, I know I deal with it all the time when it comes to music. When the comments, like posting techniques, whatever it is, there's always going to be somebody that's got some negative
haters.
People that got too much time on their hands and got nothing going for them are the people that you see, posting the negative comments. People that are doing stuff with their life, you don't see them doing that
at all.
You know what I'm saying?
I ended up going to the dispatcher to get the 911 call audio, and then one of my friends at the time, Luke Thomas, he was in charge of Bloody Elbow.
Yeah, I watch him.
You watch Luke? Yeah. So
absolutely.
Luke was a student at my Lloyd Irvin martial arts at my school, and Luke basically started his podcast or whatever it was called on Bloody Elbow in Lloyd Irvin martial arts. Yeah, he was doing the show with him.
He's big now.
Yeah, he's big now.
He's doing his thing. That's crazy. Yeah, man. The reason why I know that story's been out there, and the only reason I wanted to bring it up is because that, to me, that was always some real life ninja stuff right there. You know what I mean? Because just growing up the way I did and being around like those type of situations, I can relate to situations like that, and And man, it's like when it's time to go, when your life is on the line, you're capable of some amazing things. It's like that Karate Kid movie, Karate Kid 2, when he's in Okinawa and Miyagi tells Danielson, he's like, man, this is not tournament no more. This is real. This is real. and some people don't understand that. So my whole point with even bringing all that up. You know, I love jiu-jitsu, Master Lloyd. You know, saved my life. You know, it really got me out of MMA, and jiu-jitsu took me out of some crazy places in my life and out of jail and all that. And I feel like, you know, we all train hard. But do you think that it's also important that us as martial artists, should we be doing some type of training to be able to take care of ourselves in situations where a guy, because I've been stabbed multiple times. I've been stabbed in my head, on my cheek, across my ear, on the back of my head, and in my back. So and jiu-jitsu actually saved my life when this happened, because I was able to body lock the guy that was stabbing me, and the final 2 stabs he got were in the back of my head and in my back. And I was able to body lock and trip him and fall, and when we landed, my head hit on top of his head on the ground and knocked him out.
Nice. And
I was able to get out of that situation, but I was cut everywhere. I have stitches all over. But that's what I'm saying though. Like us as, you know, people that love martial arts and jiu-jitsu and MMA, should we also, do you think it's important that, you know, a school should have some type of program where we're also learning how to take care of ourselves? Is something like that happening?
I believe it 100%, but it's so tricky in these days because, like, when I first started my first school was named USDC, Ultimate Self-Defense Concepts, and 80% of everything we were doing was self-defense. Weapons disarm, knife disarms, scenarios, escapes, carjacking, like all kind of stuff, right? But people didn't want it. I mean, people say they want it. Even at my school, in the last 15, 18 years, we do sport jiu-jitsu, right? And we have MMA, UFC, stuff like that. And then everyone's like, oh, hey, teach us gun disarm, teach us knife disarm. So then every 10 years, all right, we're going to do 2 times a week. I'm going to teach this stuff that I love. That's my passion. Yeah. And then people show up. Is there 80% full, 90% full, 100% full, then 10, 20. It starts going down, right? They're like, Then you need the slots for business. You need the slots for the classes that are most popular, right? And another thing, I don't know if you know this, but the guys end up being serial killers. Yeah. And they end up doing a show on Dateline called Usual Suspects. And they had murdered people. They had killed some ladies, put them in the trunk and burnt. Like, so my wife always say, oh, they're not gonna come back. They're not gonna come back. But it was revealed to us in the Dateline show that they actually came back and were like stalking out for me. But I knew it. I said for the next 90 days after the home invasion, I had hired a private security firm to monitor my son at his school and taking him to school. And my wife, she didn't even know at the time, because killers are killers. Yep. And when you disarm a killer, there could be a thing of retribution, and they want to get back. Absolutely.
People don't understand. Like when you say killers, I know, because like over just the small, like things that you would never imagine, like even calling somebody the B word. You know what I'm saying? Like I know some people that, you know, I hate to say it, but you say you just even, I hear that word real loosely these days, but I know some people that if you say that to them, you might lose your life.
You can lose your life over looking stairs.
You know what I'm talking about.
I'll give your watching viewers a technique I use. That, like, now from a self-defense aspect, and I use it probably 3 times in my life. Walking in a situation, there's a situation, guys staring, you happen to lock eyes. So what the fuck you looking at? And enough, I'm just thinking about Jesus. That's gonna touch them. Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? Yeah. Because now you've disarmed them. Yeah, I'm not looking at nothing. Yep. I'm just thinking about Jesus. Yeah. Because I'm trying to appeal to that you have a grandma that took you to church when you were a kid or something. Yeah. And every time I've used it 3 times in my life, they're like, oh, no, bro. It disarmed right away.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. You know, I believe the main thing is how you carry yourself. You know, I've been around some of the, cruelest individuals, but as long as you're respectful and you stand on yourself and keep that line respectful, you be all right in most situations. But the other thing I wanted to ask you about that, Master Lloyd, is okay. So like you said that the sport jiu-jitsu aspect, right? So this is something I've been kind of getting back to more, because I remember when I started, I have off camera, we had talked about why I got into MMA and jiu-jitsu in the first places, and that was because of the riots I had been into in the jail system. And I just wanted to know every bit of self-defense I could, and I felt like MMA was it. But do you feel like now, like, especially because I competed in jiu-jitsu as well, and I competed in all belt levels, and Pan Ams and IBJJF, all that. I had my experience in that. But do you think like that maybe has a little bit watered down also what the purpose of jiu-jitsu is, and ultimately like some of the things that people are learning in the schools these days as far as sport jiu-jitsu wouldn't translate if they did need to use jiu-jitsu in the street in case something happened to them?
So it's tricky, and I have a very clear-cut position on all of this, and it is basically from a position of that all martial arts is good for what they're created for, and everything's situational. Because in my home invasion, if you put a gun in my head for me, say, what one martial art saved your life? It's going to be Sambo. It wasn't jiu-jitsu, it wasn't karate, it wasn't Muay Thai, it wasn't anything I've done in the last 30 plus years of martial art. It was the Sambo disarms, the disengagement, and so forth like that. And but say if I didn't do Sambo, could I have died that night? I could have, because I wouldn't have known how to do what I did. That did save our life. Right. But in another scenario, you see a guy pull out a gun or a weapon, and you may see something online where a jiu-jitsu guy just grabbed, took him down, throw him down, knocked him out, and took the weapon and held him down to the cops. Right. In that scenario, jiu-jitsu saved his life. Right. So it is literally every situation. I'll give you another flip situation. A guy who's good in jiu-jitsu is doing a self-defense situation and doesn't understand the mindset of a killer. Mm-hmm. You think it's some MMA fight or it's a street fight or something like that, and he has a shank in his hand that you haven't paid attention to already. He's cuffing it. Right. And now you clenching him. He, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And now you take him down, but you're literally 90 seconds, 30, 60 seconds for bleeding out now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? 100%. And you don't feel, you think it's just punches. Yeah. So everything is good for what they created for. Now, for sport jiu-jitsu, there is a sport of jiu-jitsu. 100%. And people play it.
And it's gotten much more popular these days.
Way popular.
And there's money in it now. And that's why, I bring it up to you, especially like someone that's been around the game as long as you have, to see it come from where back in the days when, Joe Moreira was one of the only guys throwing tournaments out here. And there was
back in the day,
very little tournaments to even go to whereas now these young kids are out here making money.
Lots of money.
They got the sponsorships. They're making money. They got gi companies sponsoring them, and all belt levels if they're winning. So it's just like I love to see that as well. But I feel like what my question is, should you, if you're learning sport jiu-jitsu, for example, right? Is that gonna also, because I believe what jiu-jitsu was created for was for you to be able to take care of yourself in a self-defense situation. Do you think a lot of schools have forgotten that, and that they should also incorporate that into their program?
Some schools don't know it. You understand? Some of these schools don't know it.
That's what I was saying. So I wanted to confirm that with Master Lloyd.
100%. Some schools don't even know it.
Right. They know like how to do a berimbolo, or like, the upside down guard and these fancy stuff, like all these different lapel grips. And
remember this though. Sometimes people are coming to some schools, they're not even coming to learn no self-defense. They're coming to become a sport jiu-jitsu player or a no-gi player or whatever it is that you do. They're coming for that. So it's hard because I love the sport jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I was tricked into it because when I first came to it, I wanted to be like Hoist Gracie, and they put me in a gi, and did the sport jiu-jitsu, and I fell in love with it, right? But I love the competition. I love the no-gi. I love everything about it. So I can't say anything bad about it, but it has its limitations if from a sport to a self-defense aspect. But if a person's not trying to learn self-defense and they're the paying customer, there's a market for it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So when I see the arguments about it, it's tricky. And now with that being said, the sport jiu-jitsu player in certain scenarios can effectively defend themselves
for sure.
One-on-one.
For sure.
No weapons.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's for what it's created for and what the scenarios. The same thing too with instructors. You have instructors out here teaching self-defense, teaching gun disarms, and they have no idea if it will work. Zero.
Yeah.
They're teaching whatever was passed down to them. They haven't been in the scenario that they don't know.
Right.
I was the same thing too, because I'm teaching what I learned and what I know and what I've gained. It just so happens that it ended up working, and I pray that no one has to experience that to see if your technique works.
Yeah.
But most of the teachers that are talking, they're just talking. They've never been in no fights. They've never been in a situation. They don't know what it's like. And like I said, in my home invasion situation has elevated me to a different mindset of what needs to be done to the student to prepare for that level. And me, like I say, even within our sport class, I'm always talking and telling stories of violence and telling stories of scenarios, because you have to be prepared. And we have a game where we try to sneak up on each other all the time, like in the hallways, going to the school, in the parking lot. I don't have them do it to me because I can't. I'm like, I'm always right.
Y'all might end up getting hurt.
Yeah, but most people, we call like red light, green light, orange, white. When you wake up in the morning and go to your bathroom to use the bathroom or to brush your teeth, we call it that, like white. Most people are walking around daytime like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Unaware, don't know anything. Absolutely. They don't understand. I always tell my students this. This is one of the stories I always say. I said, go search on YouTube, jaguar kills deer, mountain lion kills buffalo, and at water. So you can see when a buffalo or deer's at the water sipping and looking around, they're aware. Yeah. They're looking around, they're sipping, looking around, but the predators are behind the tree. Like, and that's how it is. The goons and the goblins, they're behind the pole. They're behind where do you park in the parking lot, young lady? Yeah. Where do you park? Those things are important.
All the things that you're not thinking about, they've thought about
already. They already know,
and they have practice at it too. Believe it or not. Yes, 100%, Master Lloyd. You're right. Let me ask you this, Master Lloyd. What do you think about the jiu-jitsu scene, the tournaments of today? Because I noticed, lately, because I used to compete at IBJJF. There's a lot more no-gi these days than anything that's becoming more popular, and the money's kind of drifted over there. The IBJJF, of course, is still one of the biggest shows. The ADCC, of course. But in your opinion right now, like, what's the best system you think as far as the tournaments?
It's hard because I'm not sure what is the best. People say that IBJJF is dying or whatever, but they're the biggest. They're the gold standard. I hate the refereeing. This weekend at the Worlds was literally the worst refereeing and decisions I've had happen to me in probably 12 years since JT Torres and Tequina had the finals of the No-Gi Worlds, and and back then it was like I was ready to step away. And like this weekend, I had the same feeling.
Is it the advantage points again?
It's the advantage, and it's the referee can make a decision on who wins if it's if it's tied.
And there's no advantage.
And it's your decision.
Let me ask you this, Master Lloyd. What do you think? Like, okay, I get it. It's jiu-jitsu. Competing at the top level is very difficult. What do you think about winning by advantage and then jumping up and just like, throwing your gi in the air and like slamming your chest, but you won by like you almost passed? I know it's tough to do that, but I'm just saying, like sometimes
for me, it's not my style. I didn't come up with that, and the mass majority of our students don't do that.
I would figure.
Now from Brazil, some of the stars like Rafa Mendes, but Rafa would win just by advantage. But there's certain stars in Brazil that came up, and they would do that and scrap. So if you're a kid looking up to them, you're 3 or 4, 5 years old. As you come up, you're going to want to do that to you. You know how people mimic their idols, right?
Absolutely.
So that culture down there, all of them do it. We have a couple guys that do it, but it's more like mimicking the
other guys that did it. Yeah, it is what it is. Like celebration in football, right?
Now let me tell you this though. On the flip side, when it comes to the world championships, and your goal has become a world champion,
that's big.
No matter how you win, ref decision, one advantage, you can do whatever you want to do in the celebration.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
it's just crazy to win by advantage. I think.
But let me tell you this.
That's just the only thing. I think it should be something else. Like make them score a point, 1 point, something. It's got to be something else besides like he almost did something.
Yeah,
they're supposed to. The whole time you're supposed to be almost doing something.
I hate it.
Am I right?
If it's at like the LA Open or the Atlanta Open or some regular tournament, and they're screaming like it's the World Championship. Sometimes people are screaming like that after the first or second round, and they'll end up not even winning.
It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's cool, but okay. So let me ask you this: in your opinion, right now, I want to ask two. Of all time, best jiu-jitsu competitor of all time, period. Now, it doesn't have to be right now. At the moment, we can talk about who's your all-time right now top guy, but the best black belt you think of all time, best jiu-jitsu fighter of all time.
All right, so
Actually, Lloyd Irvin's.
Let me pre-frame this. For me, I consider gi jiu-jitsu and no-gi jiu-jitsu two separate things.
Absolutely.
It's like in wrestling, you have Greco-Roman wrestling, you have freestyle wrestling, you have folk style wrestling. Jordan Burroughs is a monster.
Absolutely.
But he's a monster in his style wrestling. He's not a monster in Greco.
He's a freestyle, right?
I think it's freestyle.
Yeah.
But imagine if he went to a Greco event and lost. I beat Jordan Burroughs. No, you beat Jordan Burroughs in Greco.
Right.
Because like right now, you have people right now that say, "Oh, I beat a 4-time black belt world champion," but they beat a 4-time black belt world champion who's a 4-time black belt world champion in gi.
In the gi, exactly.
And you beat him in no gi.
Right.
That doesn't equate two different things. But people think that strips the power. I did that.
Right. My
position is this. So when I say who's my favorite, I'm gonna talk from gi first.
Right.
Right. Not my favorite. Who I feel is the best. For me, in gi, the GOAT is Roger Gracie.
Roger Gracie, yeah.
That's for me.
Absolutely.
All right.
I've heard a lot of Rickson Gracie.
Yeah, I mean Rickson is Rickson.
Right.
But Roger,
what you've seen?
Well, I didn't see Rickson. I heard about Rickson.
Yeah.
And I have some people who are elite that's told me stories about Rickson. So Rickson's Rickson.
Yeah.
Rickson's Rickson. Like when we talk about Rickson's like a god.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And the Godfather. Right. One of those types.
So we don't even include him.
Yeah, he's not in the conversation.
He's not in the conversation. So for me, it's Roger. Now, one of my personal favorites is Ted.
Oh, I remember. He used to
ready
like that, and he had that swag before. One of my coaches that under Joe told me, you got to watch this guy. And like I seen him, I don't know. I think he was going against Fabricio Verdum. That match.
That's the one.
Y'all got to go see that match.
It's amazing.
David versus Goliath, right? And then he ain't scared. He's comfortable. Yeah.
People forget about Ted in a sense of how great he was. Because instead of him staying in his weight division and running up 3, 4, 5, 6 black belt world titles and people counting up how many black belt world titles they have, he went up divisions and was small. Then one time he went up all the way to, I think it was ultra or super heavy.
Yeah, if he was going against Fabricio,
exactly, you know what I'm saying?
He was going against the biggest.
Now no-gi for me is Gordon.
Yeah.
There's no
ifs, ands, and buts about it. What do you think about second as far as between Nicky Rod and him? Like, do you think they're like? Do you think he's cutting in close on Gordon at this point after he's had a little? Because I think their matches are getting a little bit more closer, but of course the accomplishments and if you're going to talk about what they've done in the sport, you got to give it to Gordon as far as no doubt about it. But if there's somebody that you think right now is a close second that could beat him most likely in the future, who do you think that's going to be?
It also depends on what rule set you're competing against him in.
He's probably only going to be doing no-gi though if he does.
But when I say right. when I say rule set, I mean, is it going to be no time limit matches? Is it going to be 30-minute matches?
Right.
Like, what's the rule set?
Right there.
Because now, like I said, Nicky Rod is doing a great job. He's winning. He has his style. He's locked in on his style. Like in a 10-minute match, certain rule sets,
he beats him.
I don't know if he beats him, but it's going to be competitive.
Yeah.
Because in 10 minutes you can lock down and just move,
and
then the last 3 or 4 minutes you can work. You know what I'm saying? But Gordon's the guy.
Yeah.
He's like the Floyd Mayweather of it. So it's his rules, and he's a smart guy when it comes to this jiu-jitsu stuff. So he knows what it is. If he does the matches, if he wants to do whatever time limit.
Yeah, and he's a smart guy, and he's marketed himself very well on social media, and he's capitalized on his name and brand that he's built.
100%.
And you regardless, if you're somebody that's not a hater, you cannot hate on the man for that.
100%. When one of the ADCCs, me and him sat down and talked. And I was telling him, man, you're doing a great job, because what he was doing, like I did this 20 some years ago, came out and said who I was and what I was going to be and what I was doing, and everyone hated it. Then I ended up doing it. I said I was going to create black belt world. I was going to create world champions at every belt level: blue, purple, brown, and black.
I remember
gi
all this.
and no gi. Yep. And at that time, I didn't have a blue belt world champion. And people were hating, and we kept working. And when I got a blue belt world champion, they said, "Oh, you want to get a purple belt world champion?" Yeah. And I got a purple belt world champion. Oh, you want to get a purple belt world champion? And get a brown belt world champion. Oh, now you want to get a black belt world champion? And then it took a little bit to get the black belt world champion. And then we got 2 on the. You know what I'm saying?
It's the best thing is to show them better than you could tell them. Sometimes
100%.
And that's the best satisfaction when people doubt you.
And Gordon did the exact same thing, and everyone was hating on him, and he proved it. I remember one of my old guys, Keenan Cornelius. I did an event called the BJJ Kumite.
I watched it.
Yeah, and it was marketing. I helped market Keenan, became a superstar, and market what we were doing with everything we were doing. And then
you were ahead of your time on the YouTube with the BJJ. Or I was gonna bring that up too. And I remember watching that. You had all the brown belts, am I right?
Yeah,
and Sean Roberts was there.
Yeah, Sean.
It was I think Gary Tonin.
Gary Tonin was there.
You had an all-star list at the time. It was fun to watch, and the matches were entertaining. It was one of the coolest ideas I've seen anybody do in the jiu-jitsu world. Yeah, that's why I said you were already ahead of your time. And you were already kind of teaching on YouTube before it became cool, and people are, now you got instructionals everywhere. And I'm sure, like, at some point, some of those things you want to keep to yourself, and keep consistently making world champions like you were.
I think now hiding thing it's long gone.
There's not much to hide no more.
All the matches are on flow. People can see it. You do something. You've been working on something for the last 4 years, and all of a sudden you do it in tournament within seconds. People around the world can see it. Now they're practicing it.
Yeah.
Which makes the evolution happen even faster.
The visuals are there more, for the learning is there much more available than it used to be. Another question I wanted to ask you, as far as MMA is concerned, because I was a big fan of Brandon Vera. I had told you I had been to see him and Shogun fight. He fought one of my favorite fighters, which I wanted to ask you about. And I also want to ask you, as far as MMA, who do you think is the GOAT as well? Well, I remember when Brandon fought John Jones. That was the first time I actually took John Jones serious, because I was a big fan of Brandon Vera. And when I seen that fight, I was like, oh, this kid's special. He's like real good. So as far as MMA, in my opinion, I think that's the GOAT. What do you think, Master Lloyd?
John Jones.
It has to be, right?
There's no doubt.
There's no discussion, right?
Yeah, and the fact I got, like, if John retired right now, I'd be happy, because no one has done it like he's done it. Period.
And the guys he's beating, Master Lloyd.
And John, you listen to his interviews. He's just so smart, understanding the game and having the game. But like, think about Cyril Gane was probably the guy that beat him.
Oh,
he can do this, do that, and everything he said in the interviews leading up to, he did.
Yeah, he did.
100. He wasn't lying. He wasn't faking. He told you what he was going to do. He told you what the problem was. He told you what he saw, and he went out and did it flawlessly.
Smooth operator. He made him look like a white belt.
Yeah,
it was beautiful.
I don't want to see him keep going long and lose, and then everybody try to take away what he's already done that no one will probably ever do ever again in the history of MMA.
Absolutely, he hasn't been touched.
Exactly.
He's had some tough fights, but yeah, people ask me that question, and you got to give it to him. My favorite fighter to watch, though, and the one I root for the most, who we just found out is coming back, is my boy Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is coming back to fight Vicente Luque, but that's always been the one I root for, and the only reason why is because of the attitude. You know,
I always root for both Diaz brothers.
Yeah, you know,
because they represent jiu-jitsu at the pure.
There you go.
There you go. They still training the gi. They still teaching the gi. Yeah. They love the gi. Like I was in House Gracie's video series, and his cousin Caesar, you know, what I'm saying, their instructor, and like I said, they did it their way. They do what they want, but they represent jiu-jitsu. So I love those guys.
Absolutely. Master Lloyd, one thing I remember back in the days watching about you, I wanted to bring up. I've been careful what I'm saying on YouTube because they said I have a little bit of excessive profanity, so I'm not going to say the full word. But something funny that you had brought up that I used to laugh at when I watched, and it was called BJJ, you know. B. Ass. Yeah. You guys know what I'm talking about. Can you elaborate a little bit, expound on what that means? Like
100%.
Go ahead, please.
So BJJBA-ness is a scenario that it is the worst disease in BJJ. It is a disease that if you allow it into your school, if you allow it onto your mats, it will dominate. It's worse than any disease throughout the history of the world. And it starts at excuse making. If you watch someone after a loss and you watch their post, like I said, in this world, we had the worst refereeing, the worst refereeing I've seen in 12 years for us as a team as a whole. But you don't see me go on a post and complain and this and that. Listen, that type reffing is what I've been used to for 2 decades. The IBJF has been doing a great job trying to improve different things, but like I said, this weekend was bad. I said I haven't had anything this bad in 12 years. But I'm not here complaining. I could go out there and say, "Oh, look at this match. Watch this match. This should have happened. This could," like it's over. And then you see people making excuses, or I'll give you some examples so when you see it on social media you can understand what this is. Hey, sorry, I got a bronze medal. I didn't get the result I wanted. I lost to the eventual champion. I went out of bounds, like going through all this explanation. Like, listen, you post your bronze medal.
I had hurt my arm the week before. My pinky was hurt.
I was sick. or you see people that do it before the match. They'll set up their excuse. They'll say they're sick or they got staph infection, this and that. But I decided to still go. What they're doing there, they're trying to pre-frame for a loss or pre-frame for a bad result. It's if a person on a like in an MMA or BJJ at a tournament, they say, "Mike, yeah, I felt good, this and that." But as soon as they say "but," 95% of the time, a person that whatever they're going to say after the "but" is an excuse. No ifs, no ands, and no buts. It's just an excuse. Like, you have to take responsibility as your own self. I have a long write-up about all the different categories of this term that we're speaking about right now, but it's at the core, it's excuse making. At the core, and remember this too, it's not just the student; it could be the instructor. The instructors could be stricken with this disease, and they'll infiltrate it into the entire school. So John Doe loses, and they lose. They say, "Okay, don't worry. He was a 4-stripe blue belt. You're only a 1-stripe blue belt." Like, what do you? Why? Like, first of all, stripes don't even matter.
Yeah,
like stripes are literally for you to feel good, like you're progressing towards whatever the next belt, so you don't quit and drop out. There are no belt. I mean, like at one point in martial arts, it was white belt, and one day you get your black belt. Then they put the little belt ranks, and then they put the stripes between it. It's all hocus pocus at the color belts. So why are you telling somebody that they have belts? Another thing too, you're a student and you lose to somebody, and then you come up to them after, hey, excuse me, how long have you been training?
Oh, you've been training longer than me. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Like they're trying to find a reason why. They're trying to find an excuse for their loss. Listen, 90% of the posts I see on Instagram are all contagious. It's contagious. And if the instructor has it, there's no hope, because the instructor will pass that down to the white belts, and the white belts will grow blue, purple, brown, black with it. And it doesn't matter if they're good or not. Some of the best people, like if you're good, the disease doesn't have anything to do with your technique. And some people that are elite level have it, but you don't get to see it at all because they very, very rarely lose. But if they lose, go to their Instagram, you'll see it's pouring down. I've been watching for 20 plus years. It's insane. And it's something from the top that has to be, you have to fight it. You have to fight it.
It's learning how to be humble. I think is learning how to accept your defeats and understand you stink just like everybody else.
I have people all throughout the world who will send me a post and say, "Hey, I just did this. I wrote this post. Can you check it to make sure it's clean?" Or they'll send me somebody else's post and say, "Hey, is this B?" And I was like, "Yeah, that one right there." Now, and then people who I like and I see them put it. I know they respect my work and what I've done. And I'll write, "Hey, this part right here, you shouldn't have put that." They're like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry," and they'll edit it out. Right? Yeah. People don't want that. One of my favorite guys used to be on the team, Mike Perez. He just won the West Coast trials. Mike Perez is on it. Like I say, he tells people about it. He has text with me. If he ever slips, and he hasn't slipped in a while, I'll send some message to him. But like I said, there are people out here that love the concept and love the model and don't like, no one wants to be that, but that allows you to feel some level of comfort within discomfort. But it's not right.
Absolutely. Master Lloyd, you've been around this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu sport, mixed martial arts, for a long time now. You know, you're in my opinion, one of the best coaches to ever do it.
Thank you.
What's left to do? What are the goals now at this point? I know you have a stable. Shout out to Team Lloyd Irvin. One of the coolest things I loved about y'all team is when I came from the neighborhood, so when I used to come to the tournaments and I used to see you guys, you guys were the only team throwing up signs.
Only team.
I was like, man, why don't we got a sign? You know what I'm saying? But just the brotherhood, the family vibe that your team has and stuff. Like it's a beautiful thing to see. I'm always gonna be a fan of you and what you do. What are the goals now with the team? And I know you got a bunch of killers over there right now. As I said before, I know a couple of them myself because I had one of my students go against Legacy, which is my name, and I know those two. You got those two young gentlemen who I know are going to be future. They already are champions, but the future is so bright. So like right now, like what's the goal for Team Lloyd Irvin, and what's the future hold for you, my brother?
So the goal is tricky because I personally feel like I reached all my goals. Like when I set out, my only goal was to create world champions at blue, purple, brown, and black, and B, have a UFC champion. Those were my two goals. There was no ADCC at the time. You know what I'm saying? So when I said those things when I was a color belt with my own school. I started my school when I was a blue belt, like I said, at 6 months training. And I put this out into the world because I feel that you have to have some accountability for what you're doing. I had a weight loss challenge. I didn't like the level I was at. I put a photo of my fat stomach and my body, and I said, by this time I'm going to do this so the world can hold me accountable. So it's the same thing too. I said our goals. So now the goal is nothing different. Like still working to create world champions
and helping people become better people and live better lives.
At 55, like I said, I want to help people because when it's all said and done, like you can become a 4, 5, 6 time, 8 time, 9 time, 10 time black belt world champion and still be slam broke. So the world titles don't guarantee anything. And even if you win a world title and you got some sponsors that like you, that sponsorship is not going to last forever. the sponsorship's going to last as long as you continue to win or you have your stardom. But there's people I know right now that are world champions, black belt world champions, multiple time world champions, and they're always hitting me up like, "Oh, can you teach me about, what do you do about that Roth account? And like, how do you invest? And like, I see you trading and investing, and like, really, how do I get involved in that?" Because they have, they're older now. They have families. They have kids that you got to take care of. And now the reality of the world hits. So I'm trying to get to my young people early before the reality hits, because if they listen and do it the same, when the reality hits, it won't be a problem for them. And even the older, anybody who comes, like right now at this age, 55 years old, anybody who comes in to Lloyd Irvin Martial Arts is going to be forced. Like we're getting ready to redo my entire program so that anyone that comes in to do martial arts, everyone's going to be forced into the belt ranking. Will be requirements to know the 3 credit bureaus, understand what a credit score is, understand the importance of credit scores, the inquiries, and investing. At a certain belt rank, everyone has to have a Roth account, because nothing hard. You can literally go open a Roth account in 5 minutes online on your phone. Right, you have to have a Roth account, and you understand if what your limit is. It's $7,200 per year in 2024. If you're under 50, it's $8,000 a year. If you're over 50.
What up, everybody? Want to take a quick second out of the podcast just to give a shout out to our sponsor, the best criminal defense attorney I know. The last time I got in trouble, I needed somebody that was going to look into my case and actually fight for me and get me the best deal possible, and he did that. And I'll make sure that he does that for you. Make sure you shout me out if you guys reach out to him. To the sponsor of the Convo. You know anybody, a family member, or yourself that make a mistake, you want somebody like him on your side. Arash, please let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Thank you. Arash Hashemi, 310-448-1529, or HashemiLaw.com, HashemiLaw.com, or just Google hashtag Better Call Hash. Remember that, Better Call Hash. You'll find me on every social media channel all over the internet. 310-448-1529.
You better call Hash. So Lloyd, I know one of the main things that I did when I started this was getting you here. I finally got you here.
I'll be here, baby.
We made it happen. I think we've touched on some really cool subjects, and we've spoke on some things that people, because I like to keep up with you, and I was looking myself like, well, does Master Lloyd have any interviews? I was like, this would be a good time for Master Lloyd to come out and have a good interview and talk about a little bit of what he's been through and what he's doing now, and much success to the team. And Master Lloyd, the floor is yours. If you want to shout out anybody on the team, your family, everybody. For me, it's honor to have you. And if there's anything we haven't touched on that you want to speak on, please, the floor is yours.
In closing out, I want to touch on one topic you mentioned about the LI sign. So we were the first person, and when we were doing it, we were hated on so bad. We were called thugs. We were saying they're gang. Don't bring that gang thug stuff to the thing. But it's the black thing. It was racist based.
I know.
And throughout the world,
I
right?
know that because I grew up in a black neighborhood,
right?
And my kids are black, and regardless of being Persian, I'm very close to the black culture, and I know what you guys go through, brother. And when I saw that happening, I already knew. And for me, I was a fan of it. I was like, I all wanted to do it.
All y'all were fans of it. All y'all were fans of it because all y'all doing it now. Everybody, if you throw up your team sign in, you stole it from us. You know what I'm saying? Hating first night. Haters were actually lovers, so they love what we were doing.
They're all doing it now.
100%.
So you just know where you got it from and who you were hating on first. Master Lloyd, you want to shout out anybody on the team, any of the guys?
Shout out to everybody at Team Lloyd Irvin. Shout out to my main man, Master Donnie. Shout out to Julius Park. Shout out to everyone that's supported the team, all the haters, all the supporters. I love all y'all. And like I said, like everybody out there has their goals, and I wish y'all the best. But when it's all said and done, this jiu-jitsu and this grappling don't have nothing to do with nothing. When you're on your deathbed and you have your family, who's going to take care of you? Who's going to take care of your family? If you're not doing and you're being financially responsible in the beginning, you're learning what you're learning to take care of your family, you're going to be in a bad, bad way. I positively guarantee it. It's going to be horrible. So like I said, if you're focused on jiu-jitsu, you want to be a full-time jiu-jitsu player, please on one side, just at the bare minimum, learn about some specialized knowledge. In the book Think and Grow Rich, I'm not sure, like I said, Think and Grow Rich had Napoleon Hill, written by Napoleon Hill, and Andrew Carnegie hired Napoleon Hill to hang out with 500 of the world's richest and most successful people. And what he wanted him to do was come up with a commonality. He wanted to come up with the common traits that the world's richest and most successful people have. And when he did this 20-year study, he came up with 13 traits. And although I don't have time to go through all 13 traits right now, I have one trait I want you to go understand. And that's the trait of specialized knowledge. In my book, I think it was on page 47, it said, specialized knowledge is not the type of knowledge you gain in traditional universities and or colleges. And that rang true for me because what the money I made and what I've been doing throughout my life, the last 30 plus years, none of it came from what I learned in college. It wasn't until I got out of college and had a martial arts school and didn't know what to do and didn't know about customers and didn't know about sales retention, didn't know about how to get customers, didn't know how to do sales and marketing, didn't know anything. After having a marketing degree of a business administration with a marketing major, didn't know anything. It wasn't until I got out of school and started attending seminars and started reading books and gaining this specialized knowledge. So I would say to you, while you're going for your world titles, whether it's blue, purple, brown, black, no matter what you're doing, you have to gain and work on gaining specialized knowledge. And I'll leave you with this. One of the first books I have all my guys read, whether they read it or not, I tell them to read, is Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. Then Rich Dad, Poor Dad, so you can learn the cash flow quadrants and understand about how the money flows. But Think and Grow Rich. I've been reading Think and Grow Rich for almost 35 years. I haven't mastered the 13 principles, but I follow 13 principles all the time. I'll tell you one more. The mastermind principle is one of the concepts. Everyone, the world's richest, most successful people, all have a mastermind. Who are the 5 or 10 people that you hang around most time? Do they have the money you want to have? Are they driving the cars you want to have? Are they living the house they want to have? Do they live the life you want to live ultimately when it's all said and done? And if they're not, like who around you is living that life that you want to live? And if you have to have a mastermind group. And if you don't have it, then you can read the books and let the people be virtual. If you read the book Think and Grow Rich, you understand about virtual masterminds. So I could go on for this for days, but when it's all said, I'm great. I'm done. Self-made. Like my video training, video instructionals, I did it myself. For marketing, I did myself. There was no flow grappling. I had my own film crew. We used to travel around myself, meet it myself. So you have to understand, you have to take care of yourself, because when it's all said and done, people helping you right now, they're helping you. Why? Right? And what are they helping you towards? Are they helping you towards life, or are they helping you towards just getting a world title? And my life and goal has never been just helping people get a world title. My life and goal has been helping get people world titles and to be able to make it in life, through all different types of specialized knowledge.
Oh yeah, specialized knowledge. Knowledge is wisdom.
Yes.
Knowledge is wisdom. Master Lloyd, thank you for spitting this game for us today.
No problem.
It's been an honor.
Us.
God bless you, us. Guys, Team Lloyd Irvin. Shout out to the Team Lloyd Irvin team. You guys keep killing it. You guys got the Persian Legacy TV and the Convo podcast behind you guys. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Like, subscribe, and hopefully one day we'll have Master Lloyd back.
Us.
Appreciate you. Oh.